All right, ladies and gentlemen, I wanted to do something to cover the daily League of Legends games, but I will do it in like a shorter format. I will cover the big questions that I get on stream that are often repeated, and also like the key moments of the matches because there's plenty of matches. So it's bite-sized League of Legends content if you can't catch the games. Because I'm a goblin, I watch all the games, sweat my balls off in my chair, so you don't have to. First big game that we saw today was KT versus GENG. I really want to highlight how strong Zyra is looking. Absolutely massively powerful champion. We've seen like this influx of AP junglers. I think that teams should stay clear from Nidalee and Lilia because they are so extremely conditional to work when there are champions that are very, very easy to execute on, have very consistent value and output. In this particular game, of course, Zyra playing against the champs like Sejuani, Jax, and of course Yone, very melee heavy team, so she's going to get value, very good against compositions that want to commit into her due to the nature of this champion. The way Zyra works in terms of a clear, basically you just stick around the camp that you want to start on, and then you're going to spawn these kind of seeds that you then can proc with your spell. And I just wanted to highlight this just in terms of how insanely fast the clear speed is. I think Zyra is something that should be played often. People don't like the Dark Harvest Room, which makes sense. Comet is something that does well on Zyra because Comet cooldown goes down depending on how many hits you do. So each plant reduces the cooldown of Comet. So it's something that gives you some DPS. The tree is good. That's why we see it. You have the move speed runes and so forth. Just looking at the clear, you can begin to walk away so early from the camps and your plants are just going to finish, of course, the camp off. Just looking at the speed, 220, he's already on his fourth camp and Sejuani is still on the third. The difference in speed is absolutely insane. You have options after full clear to either gank bot or to be on bot or wait for the crab. Here, in this particular case, enemies playing Ashe and Seraphine, and they are much stronger on the wave. And it's gank time, but this is something that just surprises KT here because Deft loses flash. And just because he can be here early on bot, he, of course, secures the bottom position. Here, Sejuani naturally wants to path towards the lane that is pushing. And in the future, of course, people are going to be aware of the speed of clear of Zyra, but just to highlight how strong being such a fast clear can be, you just itemize Liandry into Rylai, then you can buy tank items, you can buy pen, you can go whatever direction. A very strong user of Liandry, just get fake dashes on first base. I think that Zyra is going to be played so much more often. I believe Elioya was the first one to play it in the major region. Very easy champion to execute, especially in games where you see like a Santo enemy team or so forth. I just think that Lilia and Nidalee, too hard to execute on. I think Brand, Zyra, Karthus, they have guaranteed damage. They don't need insane conditions to actually succeed. I would say that Zyra and Brand are probably the most flexible. Next to, of course, Maokai and then Sejuani that is getting a lot of play due to the Warmox armor. In this particular game, I also wanted to highlight this neat situation here. Also kind of in part due to Zyra's speed. They have full information here. Leona is spotting Zeri is catching a wave. He only does 2 because he wants to cross over. It's very, very nice because they know this Ocean Drake is very, very hard to kill. And I really like how Keen just takes over the grubs. He just starts hitting them because he has push on top. And then they manage to contest this and they deny both objectives, which is very cool. This is much easier to do when basically the grubs were spawning at 5 minutes. But the fact that they managed to do so, Ocean Drake is tough to kill. They used information to cross through mid and GENG don't let anything get through their way. And another thing that I wanted to highlight in this game was just that Deft still has it. You know, Deft definitely still has it in him. There was a fight that is coming up now on this Drake where Deft plays beautifully. I just wanted to break that down. Even though they don't manage to win this game, this moment is a thing of beauty. I'm very happy to see Ashe ADC being played. You see that GENG is just pulling the Drake out and playing from, of course, the dig push position. They are marking Jack so they don't get flanked. Chovy is backing off and they're trying to poke from the dig push, which is of course a very, very common place to do. You pink ward it and then you make sure that the enemy can't cross through. So here Battle gets caught, good flash, but disengage is natural because they see Ashe on the mid wave and they're breaking through from the dig push. They managed to disengage because the enemy team were not all on the same screen. Arrow lands on Canyon. He gets the Zyra ultimate off. BDD waits for the Zyra ult to basically, bloom before he snaps, which is very, very nice here from BDD. If you guys can check it here, BDD just waits for the snap. He kites out, and then he is stacking his, Q from before, jumps in, gets a nice ultimate going, BDD on his Yone, look kind of decent. Zeri pops over, hits BDD, and Kisant is Kisanting because blue side composition is full 80, so Keen is very strong in this game. And then we have a death moment here where he's just kiting, pushing forward, and then Pace wants to finish him up. And then you see here Death with the fancy feet, boom, dodges the auto attacks, killing the young ADC. It's kind of funny to see Death play 2 years later after he had his last dance. Skipping out on army duty, still wants to play the game. It was quite the nice moment. Another thing that I wanted to highlight was this. This is something that Larson did in the LEC. I kind of clowned on him in regards to this build option because I didn't think it made much sense. In my mind, IE and of course the damn LDR. These items are just so damn strong. And I wanted to look up, data because I don't know how much you can leverage the fact that you have mana. Right now, the play rate is very low, but Chovy is a trendsetter. So usually, whatever he buys goes. A lot of people like to jump on that very, very fast. Item 2, the sample size is very, very minimal. I think the crit items are insanely powerful. I don't know if there's a scenario where you can argue for mana immune due to you using a lot of spells or something like this, but currently I'm not so sold. I don't think that the rapid fire cannon second is that strong either. I think it just comes down to the comfort of how it is to play on side. I have removed the IE pairings and the collector pairings. I think that the collector side is weaker. I do think that in your 2-core, having IE in it just stands out to me as the strongest option because IE as an isolated item is just so strong. LDR2, especially with the itemization being changed. So I wanted to highlight that as, IE just being something that stands out. We'll have to see how the Manamune sample changes as more people will play it, but I wouldn't change my build based off of Chovy just yet. I don't think it makes sense, even though Larsen was first. So maybe Larsen saw Chovy do it in solo queue and then it connected because Chovy was doing, of course, the rapid fire cannon, Trinity Force build. EDG versus FPX, the main thing I wanted to highlight is Wukong has been kind of a champion that hasn't been doing well due to the removal of course, Divine Sunderer, which is true for many champions. But it seems like the Trinity Force Wukong is really doing well. We saw also NIP, Aki playing it, some of his favorite champions. But I think especially against something like Viego is buying either Kraken or Blade Rune King first. If they match on item timer and Wukong is allowed to clear for free because he has pushing top, pushing mid, I do think that Wukong, if he reaches Trinity Force, does look quite demonic. He does a lot of fucking damage. As I mentioned, Viego doesn't buy any HP. Kraken, Blade makes him very squishy. The damage output here looks quite incredible. He just flashes after him. JJ predicts it. Milky Way has no flash and JJ knows it. Looks damn good. These games were very, very strange between FPX and EDG because they were pretty much some of the heaviest throws that we've ever seen. It was just kind of a story of players getting caught left and right. There was a moment here in the game where Milky Way completely pops off. It started with this. Narrow lands. JJ gets out with his W. Wink engages in. Big Rumble ultimate with the combination. They manage to disengage because you don't want to follow through on this corridor, of course. Always play position. But here FPX are pushing quite heavily towards the Nasher because Dragon is not spawned yet. But it means that EDG will have the better position for, of course, Drake. Kerr is basing and TPing back. Very low cooldown on Ariult this deep into the game. Let's see the continuation. The Octam just kind of gets snacked on. He has flash on still. JJ finds him, snaps his neck. FPX very disconnected. Like this was a very common occurrence where either life gets caught or the Octam gets caught. I do like that FPX have managed to commit to their identity, meaning that they play very supportive champs for Milky Way to be able to play a carry. So at least they find that level of clarity. So in this moment, FPX recognized, these guys get Nash and they get Elder. We're going to lose this game. So we need to play position and use the fact that these guys used all of their big ultimates. They're always only going to have Rumble ult coming up. So we need to try to kill them as they face check, because if they get Elder and Nash, we're going to lose this game. And it was a very, very good call. FPX, you know, they've already lost their dead weight in Leona and Ashe. So at least they can take a fight without them. It's not that deep. So first Jalahu, he gets the W in, gets on to leave, who has no flash. And then Kier ults in, who has 4 items at this point, gets a lot of damage in. And they find the lethal for the first Viego reset, meaning also Ari gets a reset for her Spirit Rush, which is super, super nice. Kier did a lot of damage there on the combo with the Malignance proc, was beautiful. And then the ult forward to get the lethal there to pick up the Rel. This was one of those moments where maybe Milky Way, if he played a little bit better, could have gotten the pentakill. Look at that chain of sequence, the timing of W onto the respawn of GA was quite nice. He's just hitting the same target here, making sure it happens. Maybe Milky Way could have been a little bit greedier, but you do what you can to make sure that you secure the win, of course. And solo kill gets away. Maybe if Milky Way did a little WE corridor move speed and chased after, maybe they could have done more. But really, really nice, you know, awareness from FPX to play to their odds. It's very important to play to your odds. A lot of teams, sometimes we see that they die slowly. Sometimes you need to take the chance that you get, because later down the line, the chance is going to be just demoralized. You shouldn't fight only when the enemy already has 3 inhibs. Maybe there's a window where the enemy has no ults, where you find a window of power. Because now in this moment, imagine the enemy gets Herald, and they get the Nash, of course, and then the Elder Dragon, and then they're walking as 5, and you have no way of cracking them because they have full info on you. No way. Here they played position, was super, super nice. Good shout. Very, very well done. We continue forward. They get the Elder, of course. And you'd think that they will be able to hold their base, because it's so close. It's like, oh, maybe we need to give up another inhib. 50 seconds till Elder. We don't want to be in a position where we fight. We want to just clear the waves. We have some good wave clear in Varus and Hui, so we can take our time. Enemy has no Nash. Maybe we can live to fight another day. But in the end, EDG kind of make it easy for the enemy, I feel like. They get engaged on. I think at any point they could have chosen to disengage, but instead, you know, even in this moment, it's like Jala, who actually ulted the clone of Wukong to get out of the situation, but he was dropping down low. Elder doesn't make you immortal. Even now, they could have at some point just given up Wink, but they allow the fight to extend and they lose the game from a very winning position, losing the game with Soul, of course. Next game in the series was very similar in that vein. I just wanted to highlight once again, first, the game position. Blue side is very, very far ahead. There is a big, significant gold disadvantage. EDG need to steal this Drake, because this is, of course, a soul for FPX. They're in position. They're poking away with Talia. FPX is in a wonderful position gold-wise. They managed to get 1. They allow JJ to actually get the steal. He's on a ward now. He gets spotted. And all they need to do is just not let this happen. But instead, we have a very, very poorly timed smite here from Milky Way. I don't know where the damage came from, but he did throw empowered Q here. So I feel like he should be able to time it. Let's just see exactly what did the damage to screw up the smite, because, of course, FPX should be able to secure this with... oh, it was a Jinx Rocket. Look at that Jinx Rocket damage on Milky Way, and, of course, the Drake doing damage based off of missing health. It seems like, you know, from EDG's side, if they timed it together with the Lee Sin timer, the Rocket, it would have been cool. I would have respected that. Very T1-esque, right? But here, this is something that FPX should be able to secure. And then by extension, we had a situation where the next Drake is spawning, and I wanted to just highlight on stream while I was watching this on the live stream. I was saying, yo guys, FPX, what kind of a way will FPX manage to throw this game? What will Life do? What will Diokdam do that is going to completely make us dizzy? So Jalahu TPing super, super deep beyond enemy lines, completely purposeless. They extend this fight when it's not necessary, Nautilus and Lee. And then we have Diokdam going in very, very deep, making the fight very, very split. FPX had no reason to elevate risk at this level. Drake is spawning, they can just play position. Jalahu losing his life, and then here, just Diokdam walking into the Azir soldier when he's also safe is also a big mistake. And all of a sudden, a game that was completely over, suddenly you have the situation where Leave is just giga fed on his jinx. You can't make these type of throws. EDG secure the second Drake with a shutdown, and they managed to kite back. And here in this position, once again, here Leave, I wanted to highlight him because he's an AD carry that, you know, Leave had a weird case around. You know, why is he around? Was the big question, but, you know, we're just looking at the game. This is not a drama channel. Leave in a beautiful position here as he's kiting back. He has flash and cleanse. This is very tough to break because they are funneling themselves through this choke point. Leave is just DPSing with the gold that he just got from the previous fight. The Octam is trying to hit, huge Skarner ultimate, and there's just this wall of damage that is happening through the Azir and, of course, the Jinx. And now Jinx walks through the rocks and gets the reset, and all of a sudden this game is over. Not right now, Joe. Can you let me finish? Give me 10 minutes, please. Close the door. We continue. We continue. This series was very strange. Game 3, FPX managed to clinch it. That game was a little bit more one-sided, but I really didn't want to show those strange endings. In the LCK, the second matchup was DRX versus Fox. I think Fox was the favorite coming into this matchup, but I think Teddy really outdid himself in this one. Let's just follow through here. Teddy, I think that Teddy is really, this is giving us Jin Air vibes because some of the players on this DRX roster really don't seem to be playing for the win. They seem to be so scared, and they are not creating the appropriate space for Teddy to actually carry and play the game. At this point in the game, Teddy is 9-0. He's had a wonderful game leading up to this point. They have the soul, and somehow it's still somewhat competitive. We let this play for a moment as they're approaching the Nashor area. Here we go. Let's just let it play. Closer does a lot of damage too. This is very deep into the game. Everybody's full build. Basically, Execute just flashes in, gets grabbed, ults nothing before the grab, so he doesn't break the CC, which of course is very bad. Something I wanted to highlight again here is Skarner. Look at Skarner's damage done so far. This is only Qs through poke, which is kind of silly. Skarner definitely is a champion that needs to be tuned, but there is a good answer that I'm going to highlight a little bit later. The Talia Rock, they managed to get the Q3. The Talia Rocks here, look at that damage it does on the back end. The Nash also is stabbing away. Closer does a good job on Natalia, one of his best champions. And then here, of course, Kiahu just W's out. And from this position, Teddy manages to do some insane magic. The thought process here from Kiahu is that he wants to TP into the base. He wants to TP into the base and he wants to look for the ending. The silly thing here what Kiahu does is that he wants to recall before he does anything else. He just starts channeling base. Imagine a world here where just TP's bot straight up and this team actually fights. Right now, there's no position. It's very hard for Closer in vision to actually TP bot to defend. For some reason, Kiahu starts to channel his base, which is a very bad thing. You know, a very bad move. Teddy takes it upon himself. So here it starts the sequence. Look at Teddy moves, okay? Very tricky position because he is playing with very little mana. And he's the one creating space. No one else is creating space for him. If this was a situation where Tristana TP'd already now and looked for the ending, this would have been a marvelous play. But instead, Kiahu was like, yo, you know what? I want to give Teddy a highlight reel. So I'm going to make this situation as difficult as possible. So look at Teddy here. He goes in, he gets the stabs, and then Closer wants to hit him. The stopwatch. Teddy has minimal mana here, only for the E. Gets the flash on the Q3 that was lined up. And then the E with the invis, Clear didn't find him, and then boom, finds the lethal. Tristana kills the Talia. Very nice. Woo! Absolutely gorgeous, man. Absolutely gorgeous what Teddy did here. And then the TP in the base, Kiahu finally does it. This was just a beautiful sequence, man. Beautiful sequence from Teddy. Very clean. It's just the space he creates here by baiting out Closer's abilities makes no threat from the Tristana that follows up on the fight. He stopwatches the first, and then he flashes the Q3 here, which is very well timed, honestly, very well timed. And then Teddy flashes towards the bush to get initiative on the hit on Henna, which is super nice. He gets the initiative, Henna doesn't know where he went, the E, he dodges the auto, the zap, and then boom, Teddy, man. Teddy ends the game with a perfect score. Brilliant, man. Brilliant. Absolutely gorgeous. Very, very nice. I love that shit. Something I wanted to highlight too is Warmog's armor. A lot of people ask me, like, why are people buying Warmog's armor? So basically, there's a key change that happened was that they increased the base health of this item by 250, which is a massive buff. Massive, massive, massive buff. For many reasons. Reaching Warmog's heart is insanely easy because keep in mind as well, you can get a lot more health from runes too, which adds to this. Runes like count as bonus health. You have HP per level, you have overgrowth. It's very easy to reach Warmog's heart. Additionally, there's no more cut down. There's no more cut down inside of LDR either. So HP is a stat that works super, super well. And additionally, a lot of supports run, of course, Aftershock. They have natural resistances like Leona in her W, right? She's a very good example. She gains flat armor and she gets block as well. You know, armor and MR. That synergizes super well together with the HP from the item together with Aftershock. So this is super, super good. You know, that's why this build is doing so well, because when Celestial Opposition, for example, is finished, you get 200 health for free. And then you have the rune here in, of course, 65 flat, because it's better for lane, because you don't level as fast. And then you go Overgrowth, and then you reach Warmog's heart with ease. Additionally, in the meta, there's a lot of poke, and then you have this gain 10% movement speed if damage has not been taken, which is like a mini Mobi. This is like an item designed for supports that want to eat poke damage and be very bulky and tanky. And the final note, what makes Warmog's armor so strong, is that buying a Giant's Belt for 900 HP, this is some of the best gold that you can spend as a tank support. And this is true for, of course, most of the roles. And by extension, Sejuani has great AP scalings on her W damage, so she likes Warmogs as well. If you guys remember, there was Warmogs metas in the past where you bought Warmogs and Gargoyles just for good synergy, and Warmogs was very strong back then too. It's just insanely easy. Abuse this before this gets nerfed, because this will get nerfed 100%. There's no way this doesn't get nerfed. It's way too OP. Warmog's Heart, even this being like a passive that you need to reach at least 1300 bonus health, doesn't even make sense that it exists. And in a world where you look at the base item efficiency, you have 104%, but the beauty, of course, that it's pure HP stats, which is super, super nice. We don't look too much on the efficiency of the fucking Warmog's Heart buff because it's out of combat, right? But it's something that can be used in a lot of cases, especially in those standouts with a lot of poke. Finally, what I wanted to highlight is, for those homies that don't like Skarner, Mordekaiser is something that we've seen as a pick show up first in the LPL, because LPL started earlier. It works super, super well against Skarner because basically you can just ult Skarner when he ults and deny his ult completely. Your itemization and your laning is pretty decent. You have sustain and you do well against tanks. Mordekaiser as a champion as well, they recently removed his interaction with QSS. His QSS, basically, you can't QSS his ultimate anymore. You can't break out of his ultimate anymore. So that was a massive buff for Mordekaiser. The discourse around it was that AD carries were complaining that they can't break QSS anymore, but those was only boosted AD carries that were in range of a Mordekaiser in the first place, which is, very silly. It was very rare that AD carries needed to buy QSS against Morde, plain and simple. And the big buff this was for ulting supports, ulting junglers that now don't really have a way of creating counterplay. And in a world where there's a lot of melee supports that are good with others but don't do well on their own, like a Leona or like a Rel, they easily get killed by a Mordekaiser. Mordekaiser can remove a very vital part of the enemy composition. So this is super, super good. Mordekaiser is a very strong champion, and specifically against Skarner, lanes well. I like that Mordekaiser is appearing. So here I wanted to just highlight the interaction here with the Skarner. Pay attention to the Skarner who's going to ult. He's going to ult, and then as the moment Mordekaiser just ults him, you see here the chain just breaks. And you can do this Mordekaiser ult at any point of the cast for Skarner, and you'll break it because Skarner, he will always get his ult off, but Mordekaiser takes him to a different place, so it just fizzles completely. Right? He is CCable, right? But he will get the cast off still. But with Mordekaiser, you ult him, you suck him in, and GG. Right? I think these were the highlights of today. Let me know what you think about this type of video. I think that I want to just give you bite-sized information, reference the questions that I get during stream, and do some kind of rundown-esque of all of the League of Legends games that I see. And sometimes it's going to be more focus pieces on specific things, just so you can stay in the loop about what's happening in Global League of Legends. In regards to the standings, I guess that's something that we can highlight in the end of these, in the changes of the standings. Pull up Leaguepedia. We had LCK. GENG is looking fantastic. Kwangdong Freaks has had a relatively an easy schedule. I think the most significant win that Kwangdong Freaks had was against KT, which is good. You know, the KT match, the 2-0. KT now on the flip side, I think that they played fine today. Like they had some good fights against GENG, which I think is an impressive thing, but they are currently on a 0-3. So we'll have to see how that develops. I think it's fine. The format is very, very honest, very, very true, and I think it will be fine. That's it.